Welcome into a Packers breakdown of their game against the Arizona Cardinals. This is the Packers offense, and it was a pretty solid day for this offense. This is what we've been waiting for, a very efficient offense. We had one turnover, but that was due to a slip, so it's not really the biggest turnover in the world. But Packers put up 34 points, and it was a solid game all around. So let's dive into the first play, and this one is going to be a cover zero look. So we got a double blitz up the middle, right? Which means you're going to get man across the board. And Love is going to take a shot here. So he takes a hit. This is a third down. Cardinals decide to bring pressure on that third down. Jacobs misreads kind of this pressure. But then again, running backs are more supposed to work inside out. All right, so he's working on that inside pressure. So Love decides to take a shot deep on that one-on-one. All right, and we've seen that route before from Wicks, essentially a slot fade. And I think what Love is trying to do here with his ball placement is just to draw a pass interference. All right, he throws it inside rather than outside, makes it a tough catch for Wicks, a tough attempt at a catch for Wicks. And instead, I think he's just placing it there, hoping Wicks can work across the field, right, and draw a pass interference. Unfortunately, it's just a bit too off the mark. And refs weren't going to call that. So I like the idea. Unfortunately, weren't able to get anything out of it and have to punt. And on the ground, the Packers were very solid. It didn't really seem like it because this Arizona Cardinals defensive line is quite stout. But this is one of those big runs where Jacobs is going to be working through. We get a good push from the offensive line here. And Jacobs is going to get some extra yardage at the end. All right, so we get doubles across the board. And Morgan is going to basically vacuum in that defender. Myers lets a guy get through, but it's just an arm tackle. So Jacobs is going to get by. Breaks that first arm tackle, breaks another, jumps over him, and keeps going. All right, so Jacobs, I feel like a lot of people think that Jacobs has been underwhelming, but he's been doing what he's asked, and he's getting those gritty yards. He's not been too explosive with any big runs. He's had a few throughout the season, but he's going to work, and he's going to get you those dirty yards. And, you know, the Packers in this game ended up with 179 rushing yards. Right? It didn't feel like they had that much, but it's just kind of these little chunks, both by Jacobs and Wilson, that kind of add up over time. And in addition to those chunk plays, taking 3 to 4 yards at a time, of course, you've got these big end arounds that Matt LaFleur loves. Here you've got Bo Melton. It really felt like on this drive that he was trying to get Bo Melton a touchdown because he was going up against his younger brother. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get one, but this is just good play design with that motion. You have that action of a pulling guard, so it feels like it's going to be a power because you have down blocks, right? You've got down blocks on this side, and then you have that pulling guard, so it feels like it's going to be a power to that right, and instead you've got this motion. So these guys get upfield, and because they are a bigger defensive line, right, they're not going to be able to pursue that end around. You've got Myers doing a good job, turned around here, getting a block, 47, getting a block downfield, creates a lane for a big gain on the ground. For most of the game, Love did a pretty good job with his decision making. This is one that I would downgrade him on. And it's not necessarily his fault entirely. I think he tries to see that this is going to be a shot, and it's just a good play by the corner. He's trying to throw it to that back pylon for Wicks, and that back corner is reading his eyes, right? So he's reading that throw, tries to drop back, and it ends up being double coverage, right? So it's not necessarily entirely on Love, but it is the red zone. It is a tight space, right? The spacing on these routes, it's not really the greatest throw or decision to make that throw. All right, up next, we got Packers coming quick out of the huddle, getting to the line, trying to make it confusing, throw a motion, get the snap off, and it's going to end up being an easy touchdown here to Reed. And if we think back to my preview, I talked about the trips principle, for the Cardinals. They oftentimes they just have, this on man in the back end, right? So that's going to be man there. And because we have 3 receivers down on this side of the screen, they're going to have some zone principles, right? We essentially have 4 over 3 on this side, right? So they're going to have zone principles on that side, and it's going to be man on this side. And because of that, you're going to have issues if you have crossers, right? And Reed is going to cross the face of a middle linebacker, and eventually that's going to lead to this score. So he's crossing that face, and because you have those zone principles on one side, right, now Barnes has to match up in man coverage against Reed, and that's just a mismatch. And that's something that we saw throughout this game, is LaFleur was just recognizing what the Cardinals were trying to do on defense, and he was drawing up plays to perfectly attack them, and it led to this efficient offense. All right, next play is a screen that just is perfectly timed. It's a 2nd and long, and you've got a blitzer here, so they're going to end up rushing 5, and this is just going to work out perfectly for the Packers. So get him with that aggressiveness. He's going to slide right in. You can see that pressure, and it's just an easy dump off here to Wilson, and you got a convoy out front. Reed engaged in his blocks. I think if Kraft downfield, it's obviously something that we can't see on the TV copy, but Kraft downfield, if Budda Baker doesn't slip and he doesn't have to jump over Budda Baker, he gets another block downfield, and this is going to be an even bigger play, right? Because that makes that choice easier if Kraft is able to block this man, right? If he doesn't have that obstacle of a guy on the ground and he's able to block that guy, right, that leaves these 2 offensive linemen with an easy choice, right? And that's going to create an even bigger play than what it was already. So well done by the Packers offense there. All right, we're going to focus on Dobbs here in the slot. This is going to be his first touchdown. This is just a great effort after the catch. All right, so this is essentially a speed out, setting him up vertical, and then he's going to break at the sticks. That's about a 6-yard route, and he's going to catch it out of his break the tackle, stretch out, get a touchdown. So we essentially have a now route. A now is just a quick slant coming underneath. You have the 6-yard breaker. So if this was a little bit closer in the red zone, I think this ends up being a pick route, right? So they're a little bit deeper out of the red zone, but if this is on, the 1 or 2 yard line, I think his out route is going to be more shallow, and then you're going to have that underneath. So I think it's designed to have a pick, but in this case, there isn't one, and he's just going to go straight to that out and score a touchdown. So well done by Dobbs. Welcome back. Next up, I think Love did a tremendous job this game of taking what was there. We've seen it the past few weeks. He's trying to be a hero, and this time his recognition just significantly better, right? He's reading the left side first. He doesn't like what he sees. He's got a 3-on-2, and then he is going to work back across the middle of the field. As soon as his eyes get to Kraft, he's going to hit him, right? He's only got 4 yards of depth here, and he's still in front of the sticks. But because he makes that decision so fast, right, Kraft is able to get upfield and work for a first down. And this is stuff that I've been pointing out the last few weeks, is he just hasn't been taking this, right? And we can see what happens, right? Eyes on the left side of the field, doesn't like it, works his way back. This is when he sees, right? He's got the peripheral vision on Kraft, and then he's just going to set and throw, right? That way to the backer, his reaction, because Kraft running a crosser earlier in the game, right? That's going to get Barnes' momentum shifted, and he's just going to sit down instead and get an easy first down. Then a little bit later on this drive, you've got a 4th and 2, and this is just a crazy throw. A good catch as well by Watson, but you got pressure in the face. You got Watson on an in-breaker here. He's going to sit down. Again, good recognition by Watson here to sit down, right? Because this could be, a full-on basic where he's got to break in, but instead he's going to break in and he's going to sit, right? He recognizes the zone, and he's going to be sitting in that zone ready for it. Notices the ball, stops, able to catch it in that window, and the view from the end zone angle is a little bit more impressive, because if you don't play quarterback, it might not look like that tough of a throw, but this is a very good ball. That is a perfect level 2 ball right above the backer and right into that soft spot. Not only does he have the backer to worry about, he's got the hand swatting, which I mentioned. Cardinals do a good job of getting their hands up at the defensive line. Another hand beyond Barnes. And then Watson, concentration to pull it down. That's a 4th down conversion. Well done there. All right, this is going to be a cover 6 beater. So essentially, the Cardinals are in cover 6, which is going to be quarters, quarters, and a half, right? So you've got 3 deep safeties, but 1 is responsible for half the field, and then 2 are responsible for the other half, right? And you can see here, you've got outside leverage, right? So this safety is actually playing outside. This corner is playing outside leverage as well. So how do you beat this? Well, you're going to take one crosser, right? And he's going to occupy this safety. And then you're going to run this kind of post, a bang post, which is going to be wide open. I don't think this is well played by Baker. I think that having the outside leverage here and being in quarters, I think this alignment, this split is way too tight. But this is what they ran, and this is something that LaFleur noticed. All right, so let's watch this play out. You've got Kraft crossing. You've got the inbreaker by Dobbs. All right, so the outside receiver does this inbreaker. You have that cross. You've got this bang post, and then you have a flat. And if you just look, Love could have gone anywhere. I think any of these are open. Dobbs is probably the hardest throw because you do have this zone here, right? So I think this defender can make a play on Dobbs. But if he throws that cross, if he throws the post, maybe he throws underneath, right? He can, his outlet is here as well. So, I mean, if he's able to make any of these decisions, it's a good one. But we've got the post that he lives with. Good ball placement. It puts it away from the safety. Flattens him out, and that's an easy 6. So end zone angle, you're not going to see as much, but it's just, again, play action. Keep those eyes of the backers. Keep them a little bit shallow. Opens everything up downfield. And just a beautiful catch there by Watson. This one I'm not going to break down too much. Just the timing of Love was pretty solid here. It's just unfortunate that it gets picked. All right, Bo slips, gets picked. I think his timing is perfect. It's just wet conditions. That's a complete pass for a 1st down if Bo doesn't slip, and unfortunately gives the Cardinals points. Next play, again, talked about Jacobs. I think people are underwhelmed with him. I think people miss Aaron Jones, but I've been happy with him. Right, he's doing what he's been asked to do. And on this play, you'll see it from the end zone angle. He's just got great vision, and he's going to be able to make something out of nothing, right? So if you're reading this as a back, right, I think if we put an average person back here, most of you are going to run down this gap, and then you're going to get lit up by this guy, right? You might get a yard, 2 yards, but Jacobs is different. He anticipates, right? He can see the leverage that Walker has here. And he's just going to have a little jump cut, not too big, get upfield, get multiple yards, and keep pushing. Right? And I think that's something that a lot of people underrate. But that is some incredible vision, working at full speed, being able to recognize that that hole that looks open is not, and getting some extra yards out of it. Here we're going to have a similar situation to what we had earlier with Wicks, the first play that we looked at. And again, you're going to have a cover 0 look. You're going to get all-out pressure. You're going to have man across the board, and you're going to be outnumbered. You have a 6-man protection. You got 7 guys that are blitzing, and this ball has to come out fast. All right, so that ball comes out. Dobbs makes a great adjustment and is able to score his 2nd touchdown of the day. So we'll see it from this angle. I think we're going to get a slide protection to the left here. All right, and even the tailback goes to the left, but this man is unblocked on the right. I don't know if this was necessarily what Jacobs was meant to do, because I think it's difficult for a running back to be asked to cross the formation to take on a blitzer. But I think he may have prioritized Baker on the edge, because you've got a safety versus an outside linebacker. Who's going to get there quicker? Probably the safety. So I think Jacobs is prioritizing the safety there. And then Love, his typical fadeaway up in the air, one-on-one in man coverage. And Dobbs obviously knows that once he's approaching the end zone that the ball is probably going to be coming against zero. Tracks the ball, catches it, gets it across the end line, and scores a touchdown. And throughout this game, the Packers' offensive line was really solid. Here we have several seconds of Love running around before he takes a long run to get 5 yards for a first down, and then an extra 15 there at the end. But overall, the offensive line did a very good job. This might not be the best example because he does get pressured, right? He does roll out, gets extra yards, but I think this also eases a bunch of concerns about that knee. I don't think we're going to see many problems with it, with that mobility. All right, that's going to do it for my breakdown of the Packers offense in this game. Honestly, I'm very pleased with what I saw. Obviously, I'm not going to put every single play on here, but you know, this one was late in the game that you're just seeing now. Tucker Kraft taking a shot to the head on a hold. If he was able to come down with it, it would have been a first down. But you know, Packers offense just very efficient in this game. Very happy to see a game like this, and definitely wondering what's going to happen next week against the Houston Texans. Can't wait to dive into the film of the Texans so I can see how the Packers are going to match up. And I will see you guys in the next video. If you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And I will see you in my defense video, my defense breakdown. That should be coming out very shortly.